Hi everybody, this is Matthew Poes with Poes Acoustics, and I'm shooting a video now answering questions. Mr. Lind, 6518, is responding to the video calibration expert reveals top secrets video I did where I reviewed the Christie. He says, great video. It's nice to see more reviews of these types of projectors. It looks like DLP might be making a huge comeback, especially with Valyrian pushing the limits of the 0.47-inch chipset and their EBL dimming feature. So I do want to mention, yes, I think the DLP is starting to come back in popularity at that lower end of the market. Although I don't know that that's true. I don't know what the sales numbers really look like. At the high end of the market, it never went anywhere. It's always been the dominant product that was used in high-end home theaters. So the Sony and JVC projectors for quite a while now, probably 20 years, have had much better black levels and contrast, have had basically the same color, and had not as good, but good enough sharpness that they've kind of dominated the mid-level up to, let's say, that $30,000 price range. But the upper end of the market is quite a bit higher than that in price, and the upper end of that market has, like, it never went anywhere. It's been around. So when you're putting in 180 to 200 plus inch screens, you can't use those projectors. I mean, you can if you want, but the quality of the image is going to be pretty poor. So people were using Barcos and Christies and things like that. Now, this Valyrian is an interesting product because it's really using the light engine and DLP set from a modest kind of low-end ultra short throw projector, but sticking it into a more standard long throw projector format and adding some nice features. It's made by AWOL, and AWOL is a company based here in Florida, and they're really, like, they don't make anything as far as I understand. They go to like an OEM. So they've had this product made custom for them, and it looks like an interesting product. I'd like to review it. All right, so it says 2K native resolution, and it can achieve 13 to 15K dynamic contrast. I'm wondering, when you said 2K native resolution, did you mean 2K native resolution or contrast? Because you're going back and forth in those concepts here. With very few downsides, according to the feedback so far. Could be. I'd be surprised if it's really that good, but it very well may be. Then you said, in the video, it's mentioned that the Christie M4K15 was set up with 350 nits and a 0.05 nit black level, resulting in roughly a 7,000 to 1 native contrast ratio. Exactly right. What contrast ratio and black floor are you running on your JVC? You mentioned that your JVC performs exceptionally well in terms of contrast, so I would guess it's over 40K native. Yes, that's true, and I don't know. Dwayne didn't calibrate or measure the JVC when he was here. He was too focused on the other products. It had been measured previously, and there was some calibration done to it. I think 40,000 is probably about right. I don't close down the iris or anything. I leave it at its max brightness and everything. All right, so I'm scheduled to demo the new Barco, Heimdall Plus, and Nerthus on the 29th. The Heimdall Plus is rated at 6,000 lumens, but I'm unsure of its native contrast. It uses Barco's Dynam Black dimming, so I'm looking forward to Dynam Black dimming, so I'm looking forward to, oh, here we go, seeing that. It also features the new 0.8-inch native 4K DLP chip, which I suspect Christie may also be working on. Maybe, I think Barco has exclusive access to that, but I could be wrong about that. I've already demoed the Christie 4K M15 and was quite impressed. The Barco Freya Plus seems slightly sharper, but during moving movie content, the difference in sharpness was very subtle for me. Could be. I haven't seen a Freya back-to-back with the Christie. When I have seen them, I didn't necessarily notice a lot of difference in sharpness myself, to be honest with you. Color on the Christie would be much better than on the Freya. And contrast would be much, much better on the Christie than on the Freya. But the new Heimdall is a different beast. So the Heimdall, as I understand it, it's a pretty interesting projector. I've actually requested a review sample. Hopefully that works out. They've said that once they get production levels up to a level that allows them to start sending out review samples, they'll be able to do that. I probably am I would love to get the Plus, but I'm guessing I'm going to get the regular Heimdall, which I think is only 4,000 lumens only. It's still brighter, quite a bit brighter than others. It'll do 100% of BT 2020. That's what they're claiming. It is using tri-laser, so that seems very feasible. It only uses, so the M4K15 uses 3 DLP chips, 1 per primary. The Heimdall uses 1, and then what it does is it just flashes each of the colors sequentially. So instead of putting a full color frame on the screen all at once, it's putting the primaries of the frame on it, but it's doing it so quickly that just like the wobulation method where your eye blends it all together and you see it as a high resolution image, in this case the eye blends the colors together and you see it as a full color image. You don't see it as the individual primaries flashing sequentially. So they then add in their dynamic black feature, their Dynam Black feature. I don't know enough about it to be able to say anything. My understanding is it's much better than what Texas Instruments had developed and was being used. The Texas Instruments Dynam Black feature to me was, it really wasn't very good. It wasn't useful, and it wasn't something that I would leave on typically. I did leave it on the 4K 860 from Christie, but that thing had such awful contrast that I felt like anything had to be better than nothing with it. Like it was a good projector, but the blacks were bad. Like there's no getting around that one. The Heimdall, I don't know what the native, I mean the native contrast of that chipset I would guess with a typical lens probably would only be about 2000 to 1. A very high contrast lens might be able to get that up to like 5000 to 1, maybe even 7000 to 1. A lot of that's going to depend on what the brightness level of the projector is too, because with DLP if you turn the brightness down, the black floor will go down. The contrast should stay constant, but sometimes the contrast goes up, or sometimes the opposite. I've been told that's wrong and there's no way that's true, but I'll just say we had tested a bunch of DLP projectors, and it seemed like when you hit a certain brightness level, the black floor didn't get any lower, no matter what we did to the laser power level. So that the contrast got lower. That was the problem, was that the black level didn't get lower, but the contrast did because the brightness got lower. got lower. There we go. So this Heimdall looks really interesting because for its price, I believe it's about $60,000 or $65,000, something like that for the Plus. So similar price to the 4K 15. Now keep in mind the 4K 15 on a 220 is going to be doing 11,500 lumens. So it's almost twice as bright as the Heimdall. So they're the same price, but I wouldn't call it like clearly one is better than the other. So one has a native 4K chip, which may look better than the wobulation chip used by Christie. So the Barco has the native 4K. It may not, because actually that wobulation technology works extremely well. The Christie has the 3 chips, one for each primary, and the Barco has to use a sequential color method. It just has the 1 chip. The Christie we know has really good contrast, but it doesn't have any sort of dimming feature at the moment. In the future that may change. The Barco has some sort of a dimming feature, and we don't know what the native contrast is. The past Barcos haven't been as good as this Christie is, but this one may be an exception. They both have about the same color performance. I know one says 100% and the other says 98%, but A, you're not going to see that. And B, we haven't measured the Barco yet. So let's actually see it measured, and then we'll know for sure if it really is getting that full 100%. Brightness-wise, the Barco has 6,000. And you may lose some lumens once it's all color calibrated. The Christie, it's 11,500. And even color calibrated, it's pretty close to that. I think it's about 11,000. So there isn't much loss on that one. And that's with the very high contrast lens on it. So, I mean, I think we'll have to see how this all kind of works out once it comes out. It's an interesting alternative option. The Heimdall, I'm going to guess, though, is going to have some other features that would make it really good for residential use. I will have, like I said, I want to review it and see. I would like to see Christie, I should say. I would like to see them tailoring their projectors more for residential use in the future. I think that's expensive and difficult to do, so I understand why they haven't yet. But if they could start, like if they could make an M4K 15 that's 10 dB quieter, that would actually be really useful. If they could add a dimming feature, that would be really useful, right? Like there's a bunch of things that you could do to that projector that would make it a lot more useful for residential use. The Heimdall is much smaller, which will make it much easier to use. It is, I suspect, as I understand it, it should be much quieter. And that's going to make it so that you could conceivably stick it in a room. I believe it also produces a lot less heat. So probably you can stick it in a room. You don't really need to worry about adding extra air conditioning for it. You don't need to really worry about the loudness of it, things like that. Like it'll probably work in the room okay for like the kind of rooms it might go into. It would always be better in a hush box or in a adjacent room, but if it can't be, I think it's like usable. The M4K 15, it's a beautiful projector. The image is like astoundingly good, but you can't stick it in the room with you. Like, it's just not an option. It has to be in its own box or its own room because it's just way, way too loud. And it does produce a good amount of heat. I actually was able to comfortably watch not one, but like multiple movies in a row with my normal air conditioning levels and remain comfortable, but it definitely was raising the temperature of the room at least 4 or 5 degrees over the course of 3 or 4 hours, or more. I mean, it might have been more than that, but either way, it was raising it up a notable amount. So that's all I got to say about that. I hope that was helpful. Look forward to a Heimdall review in the future. I think it's going to be a really interesting projector, and I want to see what the competition has coming, because I think Barco is in the process of revamping their stuff dramatically and offering some really interesting new stuff. And I think Christie also is doing that, but they're maybe a little farther along before we see some brand new big products. We'll see. All right, thanks for watching my videos. Please like and subscribe to my videos. Please keep asking questions, commenting. I love the comments, they're great. Share these videos with friends, ask other people to watch them, send them to your family. I'm sure your grandmother would love to watch these videos. Come on. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.